LeBron James told me he's retiring next season, said his longtime trainer Mike Mancias confidently on the Undisputed program. The injuries he's experienced over the past 2 years, the physical decline, there's no coming back from that. As Shannon Sharpe was about to object, program host Skip Bayless's face showed an expression of shock. Mancias, before you continue, I want to show you some information that just came in. A viewer watching our show has sent us an audio recording from a meeting LeBron attended late last night. In this recording, LeBron explains his plans for the future, and you won't believe what you're about to hear. Welcome to the Famous Stories channel. Whatever city you're watching from, please write it in the comments below. If you're curious about unknown and never-before-heard truths, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like our videos. The sun had not yet risen over Los Angeles, the city's famous silhouette just beginning to illuminate in the early morning light. At Fox Sports Studios, the crew of Undisputed was making final preparations for the day's broadcast. Production assistants scurried through the hallways, checking microphones and adjusting lighting, while researchers finalized the latest statistics that would fuel the morning's debates. This Thursday morning promised higher ratings than usual. Mike Mancias, LeBron James's longtime personal trainer, had been invited to the studio as a special guest to discuss the Lakers superstar's current condition. In the industry, this kind of booking was considered a major get. Mancias rarely gave interviews, preferring to stay behind the scenes despite his proximity to one of basketball's most iconic figures. His appearance had been teased across social media platforms the previous day, generating significant buzz among sports fans curious about LeBron's physical state as he approached his 39th birthday. Mancias had been working with LeBron for over 15 years, an unprecedented partnership in professional sports. He had been with him through every step of James' storied career, from his early Cleveland days to the championship runs in Miami, the triumphant return to Cleveland that delivered the city its first championship, and finally to Los Angeles, where LeBron sought to extend his legacy with the historic Lakers franchise. Throughout this journey, Mancias had managed James' health and physical performance, becoming an indispensable part of the superstar's inner circle. In the green room, Mancias sat alone, reviewing notes on his phone. At 45, he maintained the fit physique expected of someone in his profession, trim, athletic, with the focused eyes of someone accustomed to scrutinizing physical performance. His tailored navy suit projected professionalism, though his slightly bouncing knee betrayed an uncharacteristic nervousness. A production assistant had brought him coffee, which sat untouched on the side table. "We're live in 15 minutes, Mr. Mancias," said a young woman with a headset, popping her head through the door. "I'll come get you 5 minutes before your segment." Mancias nodded, barely looking up from his phone. "Thank you." When the assistant left, he put his phone down and took a deep breath. The information he planned to share today would send shockwaves through the basketball world. Part of him wondered if he was making the right decision, but another part felt certain. The sports world deserved to know. At precisely 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the red lights on the studio cameras illuminated, and Undisputed went live to millions of viewers across America. The show's signature theme music played as graphics flashed across the screen, highlighting the day's top sports stories. The camera panned across the modern studio set before settling on the show's controversial duo, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Skip Bayless, the 71-year-old sports media veteran known for his provocative takes, adjusted his tie as he welcomed viewers. His counterpart Shannon Sharpe, the Hall of Fame NFL tight end turned analyst, sat across from him in a perfectly tailored suit, ready to defend his favorite basketball player against Bayless's notorious criticism. "Good morning and welcome to Undisputed," Bayless began with practiced precision. "I'm Skip Bayless, joined as always by Shannon Sharpe. We've got a packed show for you today, but we're starting with some breaking news from the basketball world." The producers cut to a graphic showing LeBron James in his Lakers uniform with a question mark superimposed over the image. "That's right, Skip," Sharpe chimed in, his deep voice commanding attention. "We're privileged to have a special guest joining us today, someone who knows LeBron James better than almost anyone outside his family. For over 15 years, he's been responsible for keeping the King in championship shape." Bayless nodded, looking directly into the camera. "Mike Mancias has been LeBron's personal trainer and athletic performance coach since his early days in Cleveland. He rarely gives interviews, which makes his appearance today particularly noteworthy. Mike, welcome to Undisputed. The camera switched to a split-screen view, with Bayless and Sharp on one side and Mancius on the other. The trainer nodded professionally, his expression serious. Thanks, Skip. Shannon. Good to be here. Shannon Sharp, well known for his passionate defense of LeBron James, directed the first question. Mike, few people have had the opportunity to work so closely with an athlete of LeBron's caliber for such an extended period. You've been there through 4 championships, 10 NBA Finals appearances, and countless physical challenges. What can you tell us about LeBron's current condition as he approaches year 20 in the league? It was the perfect opening question, broad enough to allow Mancias to take the conversation in any direction. The trainer shifted slightly in his seat before responding, his voice measured and authoritative. Shannon, working with LeBron James has been the privilege of my professional life, he began. What people don't see is the extraordinary commitment behind the scenes. When the cameras are off and the arena is empty, LeBron is still working. He invests millions of dollars annually in his body, specialized equipment, personalized nutrition, advanced recovery methods that most people haven't even heard of. Mancias paused, his expression growing more serious. But there's something every athlete eventually faces, no matter how disciplined or genetically gifted they might be. Time catches up with everyone. The subtle shift in tone was immediately noticeable. Bayless, always alert to dramatic moments, leaned forward slightly. Are you suggesting LeBron is finally showing his age, Mike? Because statistically, he's still performing at an elite level. Statistics don't tell the complete story, Skip, Mancias replied, his voice dropping slightly. They don't show the recovery time between games, which has doubled in the past 2 years. They don't show the specialized treatments required for injuries that would have healed on their own 5 years ago. They don't show the physical toll of 20 years of professional basketball at the highest level. A subtle tension filled the studio. Shannon Sharp shifted uncomfortably in his seat, sensing the direction of the conversation. The production team, recognizing the potential for a viral moment, signaled to the camera operators to tighten the shot on Mancias. What exactly are you saying, Mike? Sharp asked, his usual boisterous tone replaced by cautious concern. Mancias took a deep breath, as if steeling himself for what he was about to say. The moment hung in the air for a beat longer than comfortable television typically allows. LeBron James told me he's retiring next season, he said finally, the words landing with the weight of a bombshell. The injuries he's experienced over the past 2 years, the physical decline, there's no coming back from that. He's pushing 39 years old. Even for someone with his extraordinary physical gifts, there's a limit. The statement landed like a thunderclap in the studio. Bayless's eyes widened while Sharp looked genuinely stunned. In the control room, producers immediately began signaling through the host's earpieces, recognizing the massive news story unfolding live on their show. For viewers at home, this wasn't just any retirement rumor. This was LeBron James, the face of the NBA for nearly 2 decades, still playing at an all-star level, still chasing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record, still mentioned in MVP conversations despite his age. The news that he was planning to walk away would reshape the entire landscape of professional basketball. Shannon Sharp, visibly disturbed by the claim, was the first to recover. Mike, with all due respect, that doesn't sound like the LeBron I know. This is a man who's repeatedly said he wants to play until his body won't let him anymore, possibly even alongside his son Bronny. Are you certain you're not misinterpreting something he said during a difficult moment? Mancias shook his head firmly. Shannon, I understand your skepticism. LeBron has cultivated an image of indestructibility, and for most of his career, that image has been remarkably accurate. But behind closed doors, reality is setting in. The ankle injury from 2 seasons ago never fully healed. The abdominal issues from last year are chronic. The knee requires constant maintenance. Did LeBron authorize you to share this information? Bayless interjected, recognizing both the journalistic and ethical questions at play. He didn't explicitly ask me to keep it confidential, Mancias replied, though a flicker of uncertainty crossed his face. I believe fans deserve to know the truth about their favorite player's future. Shannon Sharp opened his mouth to object further, clearly preparing to defend his favorite player against what he perceived as an unauthorized and possibly inaccurate revelation. But before he could speak, the dynamic in the studio suddenly shifted. Skip Bayless touched his earpiece, listening intently to something being communicated from the production team. His expression transformed from journalistic intensity to genuine surprise. He held up a hand to silence Sharp, who was about to launch into a rebuttal. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we need to pause this conversation, Bayless said, his voice taking on the urgent tone of breaking news. Our production team has just received something extraordinary. The energy in the studio immediately shifted. Mancias looked confused, while Sharp glanced questioningly at Bayless. "Mancias, before you continue, I want to show you some information that just came in to our producers," Bayless continued, his eyes now fixed on a tablet that had been hastily handed to him off camera. "A viewer watching our show, someone who appears to have been at a Lakers organization meeting just last night, has sent us an audio recording that directly relates to what we're discussing." Mancia's confident demeanor faltered slightly, his eyes narrowing in confusion. "In this recording," Bayless explained, looking directly at the camera, "LeBron James himself is discussing his future plans with what sounds like members of the Lakers front office, and I have to say, what we're about to play seems to directly contradict what you've just told us." Bayless paused, creating the kind of dramatic tension that had made him a master of sports television. "Our team has verified the authenticity of this recording, and we believe it's from approximately 11 p.m. last night. Let's listen." The control room switched the audio feed, and the unmistakable voice of LeBron James filled the studio. Despite some background noise suggesting the recording was made surreptitiously, the audio quality was clear enough to understand every word. "I'm aware of the rumors and want to clarify things once and for all," LeBron's voice stated firmly. "The news about my retirement plans is completely unfounded. I feel physically great and plan to play for at least 3 more seasons. In fact, I've never been better. Our medical team has developed a new training protocol, and the results are incredible." The recording continued, LeBron's voice sounding energized and confident. "I'll announce the details at a press conference next week, but I can say that my physical tests matched the results of a 28-year-old athlete. The biological age markers, the recovery metrics, the explosive power measurements, they're all tracking better than last season. Retirement isn't even on my radar right now." As the recording played, the cameras captured every micro-expression on Mike Mancias's face. The confident authority he had projected just moments earlier crumbled visibly, replaced by confusion and what appeared to be genuine shock. His mouth opened slightly then closed, as if he was searching for words that wouldn't come. When the audio ended, the studio remained silent for a moment that felt much longer than it actually was. Television thrives on conflict and unexpected turns, but this reversal was so dramatic that even the seasoned hosts seemed momentarily unsure how to proceed. Shannon Sharp broke the silence, unable to contain a slight smile of vindication. "Mike, that certainly sounds like LeBron, and he seems to be saying the exact opposite of what you just told us. Can you explain the discrepancy?" All eyes were on Mancias, who had gone from delivering bombshell news to being on the defensive in a matter of seconds. He swallowed hard, visibly uncomfortable. That is definitely LeBron's voice," he conceded, his own voice now lacking its previous certainty. "But I don't understand. He absolutely told me something completely different when we last spoke. When exactly was your last conversation with LeBron about this?" Bayless pressed, sensing weakness in Mancias's position. "About 3 weeks ago," Mancias replied, shifting in his seat. "We were discussing his off-season recovery plan, and he expressed serious doubts about continuing beyond next season. He was explicit about planning for retirement." Shannon Sharp, who had been momentarily stunned by Mancias's initial claim, now seized the opportunity to defend the player he had championed for years on the show. "Mike, with all due respect, is it possible you misunderstood the conversation? Perhaps LeBron was just expressing frustration after a tough season, or maybe he was speaking hypothetically about the distant future. 3 weeks is a long time. His perspective could have changed." "No, Shannon," Mancias insisted, though with noticeably less conviction than before. "LeBron was clear about his intentions. He talked about his injuries, his physical fatigue, the toll of 20 seasons. He'll be 39 next season. Even for LeBron, that's pushing the limits of what's physically possible at the highest level." As Mancias attempted to defend his position, the studio dynamic shifted again. Jenny Chen, the show's lead producer, entered the frame, an unusual occurrence during a live broadcast. She approached Bayless with purpose, and handed him another tablet, whispering something in his ear before quickly exiting the shot. Bayless looked down at the screen, his eyebrows rising dramatically as he absorbed whatever information he'd just received. He looked up with the expression of a journalist who knows he's in the middle of a major developing story. "Ladies and gentlemen, this story continues to take unexpected turns," Bayless announced, his voice carrying the gravitas of breaking news. "We've just been contacted by someone from the Lakers medical and performance team. This individual, who has asked to remain anonymous until the official announcement next week, has provided us with documentation of LeBron James's recent physical assessment." The control room displayed a series of charts and tables on screen, with certain data points highlighted in yellow. The medical jargon was complex, but the comparative metrics were clear enough for even casual viewers to understand. According to these records, Bayless continued, studying the information, LeBron's physical benchmarks are not showing the decline that Mike has described. In fact, in several key areas, including explosive power, cardiorespiratory efficiency, and recovery time, the data indicates improvement over last season's metrics. Bayless looked up from the tablet, directing his gaze at Mancias. The report specifically notes that LeBron's biological age markers, the cellular and physiological measurements that indicate how a body is aging regardless of chronological age, suggest he's functioning at a level typical of an elite athlete in his late 20s. That's approximately a decade younger than his actual age. Shannon Sharpe couldn't contain his satisfaction at this revelation. As I've been saying for years, Skip, LeBron isn't human, he's rewriting what we thought was possible for athletic longevity. He's the Benjamin Button of basketball. Mike Mancias was now visibly perspiring under the studio lights, his composure cracking further. These results must be preliminary or mistaken, he stammered. I've overseen LeBron's physical assessments for 15 years. The data I saw showed definitive signs of physical decline. Before either host could respond, Bayless touched his earpiece again, listening to another update from the production team. His eyes widened slightly. Mike, our producers have just informed me that Dr. Sarah Wilson, the Lakers' Director of Performance and Medical Services, is available to join us via phone right now. She's offering to clarify the situation regarding LeBron's physical condition. Would you be comfortable with us bringing her into this conversation? The question was framed as a courtesy, but the implication was clear. The show was going to take the call regardless. After a moment's hesitation, Mancias nodded stiffly. Yes, that's. The show's graphics changed to accommodate the new participant, and Dr. Sarah Wilson's voice came through the studio speakers clearly. Wilson, who had built a reputation as one of the most innovative medical professionals in professional sports, had joined the Lakers organization 2 years earlier after a successful tenure with Olympic athletes. Dr. Wilson, thank you for joining us on such short notice, Bayless began. We're in the middle of what's becoming a rather confusing situation. Mike Mancias has just told us that LeBron James plans to retire after next season due to physical decline, but we've now heard an audio recording of LeBron from last night suggesting the opposite. Can you help clarify the actual state of LeBron's physical condition? There was a brief pause before Wilson responded, her tone measured and professional but with an undercurrent of tension. Thank you for having me, Skip, she began. I feel compelled to address several inaccuracies in what's been said this morning. First and perhaps most importantly, I need to clarify something that wasn't scheduled to be announced until later this week. She paused and the studio fell completely silent in anticipation. Mike Mancias is no longer employed as LeBron James's personal trainer, Wilson stated firmly. His professional relationship with LeBron was terminated 3 weeks ago. This wasn't public knowledge yet, but given the claims being made on your program, it's necessary to set the record straight. The bombshell revelation landed with palpable impact in the studio. Sharpe's jaw literally dropped, while Bayless, a man who had built a career on maintaining composure during dramatic television moments, couldn't hide his surprise. The camera cut to Mancias, whose face had drained of color. That's not accurate, Mancias protested weakly. We were just taking a break, reassessing our approach. No, Mike, Dr. Wilson replied, her voice firm but not unkind. Your contract was formally terminated. I was present for that conversation, as was Rob Pelinka and LeBron's agent, Rich Paul. There's no ambiguity about the situation. Dr. Wilson, Bayless interjected, sensing the need to understand the full context. Can you explain why this professional relationship ended? Was it related to concerns about LeBron's physical condition? There was another pause, and when Wilson spoke again, her voice carried the careful precision of someone navigating sensitive professional ethics. Without violating confidentiality more than necessary, I can confirm that the separation involved concerns about information management, she stated. There were instances where private medical information and training data were shared with third parties without authorization. In the professional sports context, where such information has competitive implications, this represents a serious breach of trust. This revelation cast Mancias's appearance on the show in an entirely new light. What had initially seemed like an insider sharing privileged information now appeared to be potentially an act of retaliation from a recently terminated employee. Shannon Sharpe, protective of LeBron as always, jumped in. Dr. Wilson, setting aside the employment situation, can you address the central claim here? Is LeBron experiencing physical decline that might lead to retirement after next season? Absolutely not, Wilson replied without hesitation. LeBron is currently in exceptional physical condition, even by his own remarkable standards. The comprehensive assessment we completed last week showed improvements in several key performance metrics compared to last season. Some of his explosive movement patterns are actually testing better than they did 3 years ago. The doctor continued, warming to her subject. We've implemented an innovative training protocol that focuses on biomechanical efficiency and cellular regeneration. The results have exceeded even our optimistic projections. LeBron's recovery metrics in particular are showing patterns typical of an athlete a decade younger. Wilson paused briefly before adding the most definitive statement yet. Based on our projections and LeBron's own stated intentions, we've developed a performance plan that extends at least 3 more seasons. Retirement discussions aren't part of our current planning whatsoever. The control room displayed a new set of graphics showing LeBron's performance trajectory, with trend lines indicating improvement rather than decline across several key metrics. The visual evidence directly contradicted everything Mancias had claimed. Mancias, now cornered by mounting evidence against his narrative, attempted to salvage some credibility. The data you're seeing must be very recent, he suggested. When I last had access to LeBron's metrics, they told a different story. Perhaps this new training protocol has produced unexpected results. Dr. Wilson's response was measured but left no room for misinterpretation. Our assessment methodology hasn't fundamentally changed, Mike. What you're suggesting simply doesn't align with the documented record. LeBron's performance metrics have shown consistent improvement throughout this calendar year, with only the expected fluctuations around his ankle rehabilitation, which concluded successfully 2 months ago. Skip Bayless, ever the provocateur, directed his next question back to Mancias. Mike, in light of Dr. Wilson's statements and the evidence we've seen, the audio recording and these performance metrics, would you like to reconsider or clarify your earlier claims about LeBron's retirement plans? The camera zoomed in on Mancias, capturing a man whose professional credibility was disintegrating in real time on national television. Sweat had formed visibly on his brow, and his eyes darted around as if searching for an escape route. After several uncomfortable seconds, he attempted to find a dignified retreat. I can only speak to what LeBron told me directly during our last conversation, he said, his voice noticeably less confident. If his situation has changed, or if new performance data is showing different results, then of course that would affect his retirement timeline. Athletes reassess their futures constantly based on how their bodies respond. Shannon Sharpe wasn't willing to let Mancias off so easily. But Mike, you presented your information as current and definitive. You stated unequivocally that LeBron is retiring next season. Now it seems that not only are you no longer working with him, but the actual medical data contradicts everything you've claimed. Don't you think you owe the viewers and LeBron an apology? Before Mancias could respond, Dr. Wilson interjected with what would be the final devastating revelation. There's one more important clarification needed, she said. The conversation Mike is referencing, where LeBron supposedly discussed retirement, occurred during a particularly difficult phase of ankle rehabilitation last year. It's not uncommon for athletes to express frustration or even pessimism during challenging recovery periods. However, that conversation took place over 14 months ago, not 3 weeks ago as Mike suggested. This timeline discrepancy removed any remaining doubt about the situation. Mancias wasn't just sharing outdated information. He was presenting a momentary expression of frustration from over a year ago as if it were LeBron's current definitive plan. Skip Bayless, recognizing that the segment had reached its natural conclusion, decided to wrap things up. Dr. Wilson, we appreciate your clarification of these matters. Is there anything else viewers should know about LeBron's current situation before we conclude? Only that there will be an official announcement next week regarding LeBron's future plans and our innovative training methodology, Wilson replied. What I can say now is that fans should expect to see LeBron James on the court for several more seasons, performing at the elite level they've come to expect. Bayless nodded, then turned to Mancias for a final comment. Mike, would you like to add anything before we end this segment? Mancias, his earlier confidence now completely evaporated, shook his head slightly. I stand by my recollection of my conversations with LeBron. If circumstances have changed since then, I wouldn't have been privy to that information. I wish him continued success. The response was weak, but it was all he could muster under the circumstances. The once trusted member of LeBron's inner circle had been exposed as, at best, severely out of the loop, and at worst, deliberately misleading. "We need to take a commercial break," Bayless announced, turning to the camera. "When we return, we'll discuss the implications of what we've learned about LeBron James's future and physical condition. Stay with us." As the show cut to commercial, viewers caught a glimpse of Mancias quickly removing his microphone and standing to leave the set, his brief moment in the spotlight having turned into a professional nightmare. Within minutes, clips of the explosive segment were spreading across social media platforms. The hashtags LeBron not retiring and Mancias exposed began trending nationally. Sports news outlets scrambled to report on the dramatic on-air revelation and contradiction. When Undisputed returned from commercial break, Mancias was no longer on set. Bayless and Sharp spent the remainder of the segment analyzing what they had just witnessed, with Sharp particularly animated in his defense of LeBron. "Skip, how many times have people tried to write LeBron off?" Sharp demanded rhetorically. "Year after year we hear about his decline, his age catching up to him, and year after year he proves the doubters wrong. This is just the latest chapter in that story." Bayless, who had built much of his television persona around criticizing LeBron, found himself in the unusual position of agreeing with his co-host. "I've questioned many aspects of LeBron's game and career over the years. Shannon, you know that. But what we just witnessed was extraordinary. A deliberate attempt to spread misinformation about his physical condition and future plans by someone who was once in his inner circle. Even I have to acknowledge how unprofessional that was." Just an hour after the broadcast concluded, LeBron James himself weighed in through his social media accounts. He posted a short video filmed in the Lakers' practice facility showing him completing an impressive weight training set before turning to the camera with a knowing smile. "Retirement? We're just getting started. King still reigns. 3 more years." The video garnered millions of views within the first hour, effectively putting an exclamation point on the morning's dramatic revelations. Later that afternoon, ESPN's NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski reported additional context. Sources close to the Lakers organization confirmed that LeBron James and the team are finalizing a 2-year contract extension worth approximately $97 million, with a player option for a 3rd year. Official announcement expected next week. This news further cemented the fact that Mancias's claims had been completely unfounded. Far from retiring, LeBron was committing to potentially 3 more seasons with the Lakers. By evening, the story had grown large enough to warrant coverage on ESPN's dedicated NBA program, NBA Today. Host Malika Andrews framed the situation for viewers who might have missed the morning's drama. In an extraordinary television moment this morning, LeBron James's former personal trainer Mike Mancias claimed on FS1's Undisputed that the Lakers star planned to retire after next season due to physical decline. However, within minutes of this claim, evidence emerged contradicting Mancias completely. A recording of LeBron discussing his future plans revealed his intention to play at least 3 more seasons, and the Lakers' medical director confirmed that James is in exceptional physical condition. We also learned that Mancias was terminated from LeBron's team 3 weeks ago, casting his motivations for making these claims into serious question. The show's panel of former players and analysts weighed in, with former NBA player and analyst Kendrick Perkins particularly outspoken. This was nothing but a vindictive attempt to damage LeBron's reputation by someone who got fired, Perkins stated emphatically. "I've known LeBron for years, and his commitment to his body, to his training, to extending his prime, it's legendary in the league. For someone who worked with him to try to undermine that on national television, that's as unprofessional as it gets." Former NBA coach and analyst Stan Van Gundy offered a more measured but equally damning assessment. "This incident reminds us how careful media outlets need to be when presenting insider information. Just because someone once had access doesn't mean they still do, and it certainly doesn't mean their information is accurate or being shared with pure intentions." By the following day, the Lakers organization had issued an official statement addressing the situation. The statement, attributed to General Manager Rob Pelinka, was concise but definitive. "The Los Angeles Lakers are aware of the false claims made regarding LeBron James's physical condition and future plans. These claims are completely inaccurate and were made by an individual who is no longer affiliated with LeBron or our organization. We look forward to LeBron's continued excellence in a Lakers uniform for years to come, and will be making an exciting announcement regarding his future with the team next week. The statement effectively ended any lingering questions about LeBron's status, while carefully avoiding mentioning Mancias by name, a professional courtesy that many felt he didn't deserve after his action. Mike Mancias himself maintained public silence following the incident. His social media accounts were set to private, and requests for comment from various sports outlets went unanswered. Sources within the sports training community indicated that his reputation had suffered potentially irreparable damage, with one anonymous NBA strength coach telling ESPN, "Trust is everything in this business. Once that's gone, it's nearly impossible to get back." 1 week later, as promised, the Lakers held a press conference announcing LeBron James's contract extension. The event, held at the team's training facility in El Segundo, featured LeBron alongside Rob Pelinka and team owner Jeannie Buss. LeBron, dressed in Lakers practice gear, appeared relaxed and confident as he addressed the media. "I'm excited to continue my journey with the Lakers organization," he began. "From day one, this historic franchise has embraced me and supported my vision both on and off the court. I feel physically better than I have in years thanks to the innovative work of our medical and performance team, and I'm looking forward to competing for championships for at least the next 2 to 3 seasons." When inevitably asked about the Mancias incident, LeBron's response was measured but firm. "Throughout my career, I've dealt with rumors, speculation, and occasionally betrayal from those I trusted. This situation falls into that category. I won't dignify the specific claims with a detailed response, except to say they were completely false. My focus remains where it always has been, on my craft, my teammates, and bringing more championships to Laker Nation." The press conference also featured a presentation from Dr. Sarah Wilson and the Lakers performance team, outlining the groundbreaking training methodology they had developed. Without revealing proprietary details, they explained how the program combined advanced biomechanics, personalized nutrition, and cutting-edge recovery techniques to extend athletic prime years beyond what was previously thought possible. "What we're seeing with LeBron isn't just the result of genetic gifts, though those certainly play a role," Dr. Wilson explained. "It's the outcome of unprecedented commitment to physical maintenance, combined with scientific approaches that simply didn't exist a decade ago. We're redefining what's possible for athletic longevity at the highest level of competition." As the NBA season approached, the Mancias incident faded from headlines, replaced by the usual preseason speculation and analysis. LeBron, true to form, let his performance do the talking. In preseason appearances, he moved with the explosiveness and fluidity that had defined his career, showing no signs of the decline Mancias had claimed was inevitable. ESPN commentator Stephen A. Smith, never one to hold back his opinions, perhaps summed up the situation best on his program First Take. "Time and again, people have tried to put an expiration date on LeBron James's greatness. Time and again, he's proven them wrong. This latest episode is just another chapter in that story. The lesson here isn't just about LeBron's longevity, it's about the dangers of underestimating him, something his critics never seem to learn." Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. What do you think about this topic? Please write in the comments below. See you in the next video.